last week we talked about the war that Absalom caused in the kingdom of David. All right, basically a civil war, at least an attempted coup. All right, so that ended. Absalom is defeated and dead. All of Israel is rejoicing because now David is still their king, but David is mourning because his son died. All right. David had love for his son, even though his son was being wicked and evil. So let's pick up in 2 Samuel 19. We'll start with verse 1. And it was told Joab, behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. All right, before we go any further, I do want to check something real quick, make sure that we have no technical difficulties. Let's see here. How are we doing? Check something real quick, make sure that we have no technical difficulties. Okay, all praises to the Most High. It seems that we are rolling. All right. How the king grieved for his son. Verse 3. And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. All right, David is grieving, is mourning. Verse 5, and Joab came into the house of the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies and hatest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. Right? So Joab, he's talking a little bit of sense. All right, maybe not that last part. I don't know if David would be rejoicing if Absalom killed everybody else, but Joab is saying, look, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than what you have going on. All right, this is about the people, and you're turning what should be a joyful day where the people rejoice in righteousness. You're turning it into a day of mourning. All right, and you're turning the people against you. All right. Verse 7. Now therefore arise, go forth and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night. And that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. Right? So Joab saying, if you don't make this right now, then more evil is going to come upon you. Verse 8. Then the king arose and sat in the gate. And they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom? All right, so they're saying, like, who is Absalom? He's not mighty in battle. Right? Why is David fleeing from him? Verse 10. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now, therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? Right? So they were waiting on David to make an appearance, because he just stayed locked up in his house, in his castle, mourning the death of his son. Verse 11. And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back to his house, seeing the speech of all Israel has come to the king, even to his house? Verse 12. Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye the last to bring back the king? And say ye to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone and my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, Return thou and all thy servants. Right? So he's saying, look, all the other tribes are welcoming me back. Why is Judah not, my own tribe, not doing the same? All right. Verse 15. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. All right, you know we like the maps. You know we like the maps on Wednesday nights. All right, let's go to the photos. Let's go to where's maps? There we go. And we like this one. This one's a little bit more descriptive, a little bit more cities highlighted on this one than in other ones. So we see Gilgal right here, and you see how it's next to the Jordan. They're bringing David back from the land of Gad, back into his rightful home in Jerusalem, which is there in Judah. All right. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little better. There's Gilgal, there's Jordan. All right. Let's go back. King of Jordan, verse 16. And Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, which was of Bahurim, hasted and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. Verse 18. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king as he was coming over Jordan. If you remember last week, Shimei was the one who was cursing David as he was fleeing from Jerusalem. He was following him, cursing him, throwing rocks at him. Saying, this is what you get for killing my dad and his house and all that kind of stuff. Even though David didn't kill Saul, but Shimei still hated him for it anyway. Verse 19. And said unto the king, so this is Shimei, let not my Lord impute iniquity unto me, neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely the day that my Lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. Right? So, so when he thought David was losing the throne, of course he's going to curse him and talk bad about him and throw rocks at him, all that kind of stuff. But when when David's kingdom is established, now he's like, oh, please forgive me, go king. Don't kill me. Please pardon me. All right. Verse 20. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my lord the king. But Abishai the son of Zeruiah answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? Verse 22. And David said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah, that ye should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Right? So David is not going to abuse his power as king. And those sons of Zeruiah, including Joab, very bloodthirsty men. All right, we continue to see that through the books of the Samuels, right? 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. Verse 23. Therefore the king said unto Shimei, thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him, made an oath, right? Verse 24. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said unto him, wherefore wentest not thou with me, Mephibosheth? All right, so Mephibosheth is the son of Jonathan, with the disabled son of Jonathan, I should say. His legs are, well, his legs never fully healed when he broke them as a child, so now he's disabled. Verse 26. And he answered, my lord, O king, my servant, deceive me. For thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass, that I may ride thereon and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. And he hath slandered thy servant unto my lord the king. But my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. Right? So he said, I couldn't follow you because I am disabled. That's what lame means. It means disabled. All right? He's like, I couldn't follow you because I'm disabled and my servants wouldn't take me to you. Verse 28. For all of my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet didst thou set thy servant among them that did eat at thy own table. Right? Because David loved Mephibosheth's father, Jonathan. They were best friends. All right. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, thou and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, yea, let him take off, for as much as my lord the king is come again in peace unto his own house. Right, so Mephibosheth is he's waiving his rights to all of Saul's land and saying, look, you granted that to me anyway. I'm just glad that you're back. All right. Verse 31. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Now, I don't think Rogelim is on the map. No, it doesn't look like it, but Gilead is, let me zoom out. Gilead is this whole region, all right? Gad and the southern part of East Manasseh. It's on the east side of the Jordan. All right. Verse 32. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, right? That's 80 years. And he had provided the king of sustenance while he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man, right? Meaning very rich. And the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, how long have I to live, that I should go up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old. And can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? Right? So he's like, man, I'm old. I don't want to go nowhere. You're going to show me all these wonderful things. I'm not going to be able to enjoy them because I'm old. I'd rather just stay here. All right. Verse 36. Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king. And why should the king recompense me with such a reward? Right? So he's saying, I just want to make sure you have safe passage across the Jordan. Verse 37, let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and my mother. But behold, thy servant Chimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good unto thee. And the king answered, Chimham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good unto thee. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that I will do for thee. Right? So David is trying to pay him back for all the kindness that Barzillai had showed him during this trying time in David's life. All right. Verse 39. And all the people went over Jordan. And when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned unto his own place. Verse 40. Then the king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him. And all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. Verse 41. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king, and said unto the king, why have our brethren the men of Judah stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household and all David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, because the king is near of kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost, or hath he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah, and said, we have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than ye. Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. Right? So immediately, as soon as David was reinstated as king, now you have all the majority Northern Kingdom Israelites saying, well, look, we're the one who housed David whenever he was, whenever his kingdom was under threat, right? We're the ones who have always been by David's side. Judah, you're the ones who turned on him, his own tribe. You're the ones who turned on him. Why should we just establish the capital again in Jerusalem? Why not establish it somewhere in one of the other tribes, right? So that caused contention between Northern Kingdom Israelites and Judah specifically. Judah, because they're like, well, he's one of us. We got to take him back, right? So that caused contention between the tribes in Israel. And we saw that all throughout the Judges. There was always some sort of contention, always some sort of discrepancy between tribes in Israel, right? David was really one of the first ones to reconcile all the tribes together, especially to the extent that he did, right? Saul kind of unified the tribes, but not really. He wasn't as righteous as he could have been. David was that example of a righteous king, all right? So 2 Samuel 20, we're going to start with verse 1. And obviously at the end of that chapter it said Judah's words were fiercer than that of the rest of the Israelites, so that kind of Judah was able to take David back because they were more adamant about the argument. Verse 1. And there happened to be there a man of Belial. This is 2 Samuel 21. And there happened to be there a man of Belial whose name was Sheba, meaning he was the devil, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. And he blew a trumpet and said, "We have no part in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." Right? So Sheba is trying to separate the people, trying to divide the people. All right? Verse 2. So every man of Israel went up from after David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah clave unto their king, from Jordan even to Jerusalem. All right, so this caused a schism. I'll put it like that. Men started following Sheba because it was the new thing around, right? Verse 3. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in ward, and fed them, but went not in unto them. So they were shut up until the day of their death, living in widowhood. All right, that was all the women who slept with Absalom. Right, all those his David's concubines. David did not go have sex with them again after Absalom had sex with him, because that's unclean, that's defiled. Verse 4. Then said the king to Amasa, "Assemble me the men of Judah within 3 days, and be thou here present." So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he tarried longer than the set time which he had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, "Now shall Sheba, the son of Bichri, do us more harm than did Absalom. Take thou thy Lord's servants and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us." And shut that off. And there went out after him Joab's men, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men. And they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba. Let's see. All right. Yeah, shalom, Brother Malachi. I see. Yeah, you can check it back on the replay. Where was I? Verse 7. And there went out after him Joab's men, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba, the son of Bichri. Right? So the Cherethites and the Pelethites are like mercenaries of the Philistines, and of course Joab and his men are the mighty men of David. All right? Verse 8. When they were at the great stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had put on was girded unto him, and upon it a girdle with a sword fastened upon his loins and the sheath thereof. And as he went forth it fell out, and Joab said to Amasa, "Art thou in health, my brother?" And Joab took Amasa by the beard with the right hand to kiss him. Verse 10. But Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Joab's hand, so he smote him therewith in the 5th rib, and shed out his bowels to the ground, and struck him not again. And he died. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, pursued after Sheba, the son of Bichri. So here you see, again, another example of Joab killing a man, right? Very bloodthirsty was those sons of Zeruiah. Verse 11. And one of Joab's men stood by him and said, "He that favoreth Joab, and he that is for David, let him go after Joab." And Amasa wallowed in blood in the midst of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa out of the highway into the field, and cast a cloth upon him when he saw that everyone that came by him stood still. Right, so they waited until the highway was clear, took Amasa, put him in a field. All right. Verse 13. When he was removed out of the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue after Sheba, the son of Bichri. And he went through all the tribes of Israel unto Abel, and to Beth-Maachah, and all the Berites. And they were gathered together, and went also after him. The Berites, I believe, are sons of Beeri, one of the children of Ephraim, I believe. Let's see if we can find Beth-Maachah on the map. I don't see it, personally. Maybe one of y'all see it, but it's not. I don't see it on here. Maybe it's not on here. Abel, I also don't think is on here. You got Abel Shittim. So maybe that's what he's referring to. I don't see Beth-Maachah. Don't see Beth-Maachah. Maybe just Maachah. No, I'm not seeing Maachah. Anyway, we said all the Berites. It might be through Ephraim. Might be through Ephraim. Anyway, let's get back. All right. Unto Abel, unto Beth-maachah, and they were gathered together and went after him. Verse 15. And they came and besieged him in Abel of Beth-maachah, and they cast up a bank against the city, and it stood in the trench. And all the people that were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Right. So Sheba hides in Abel, one of the suburbs of Beth-maachah, and they siege the city, because back then all cities had walls, so that people could not, just come in and go as they please. Right. So they come to this city and start tearing down the wall, start sieging it. All right. Verse 16. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, say I pray you unto Joab, come near hither, that I may speak with thee. And when he was come near unto her, the woman said, Art thou Joab? And he answered, I am he. Then she said unto him, Hear the words of thy handmaid. And he answered, I do hear. Verse 18. Then she spake, saying, They were wont to speak in old times, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel. And so they ended the matter. Verse 19. I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Thou seekest to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why wilt thou swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? Right. So this woman comes to Joab as he's sieging the city, and she's like, Look, people used to come to our city for counsel and wise advice. All right. And I'm somebody who can give counsel and wise advice. I'm a servant of the Lord, just like you, right? Why would you be willing to kill this wise old woman and this whole city? All right. Verse 20. And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me, that I should swallow up or destroy. The matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri by name, had lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall. Right? So she's like, what can we do to get you to stop destroying the city? And Joab's like, look, I don't want to destroy the city. I'm just looking for a specific man. All right? If we handle him, we'll be out of your hair. Right? So she's like, all right, we'll cut his head off and throw it over the wall. Verse 22. Then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. And he blew a trumpet, and they retired from the city, every man to his tent. And Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. All right. So this wise woman just saved thousands, tens of thousands of people's lives just by delivering this wicked man who come against the king, right? Who wanted to draw away Israel after himself. He wanted to be king. That's the whole thing about this. He said, who is David? Let me be king instead, right? Verse 23. Now Joab was over all the host of Israel, right, all the army, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and over the Pelethites, and Adoram was over the tribute. And Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was recorder, and Sheba was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were priests. And Ira also, the Jairite, was a chief ruler about David, right? So these are some of David's mighty men. The men of Israel who were of the army of Israel that he put over these certain divisions, these certain tasks, all right? Well, I say over the army. Zadok and Abiathar were priests. Adoram was a tax collector. Ahilud was a recorder, as in wrote down history. Sheba was the scribe, wrote down prophecy, wrote down everything. Like, recorder would be like a stenographer. All right, a scribe would be like a historian. I'll put it like that. And then Ira was over David's house and possessions and things like that. All right, let's keep it going. 2 Samuel 21. I'm going to start with verse 1. Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. All right. Verse 2. And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel had sworn unto them, and Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah. All right. So I don't know if we covered this in the book of Joshua. We should have. I think we did. But in the book of Joshua, the Gibeonites came secretly to Joshua and basically deceived Joshua and the rest of the people of that time into vowing to defend and honor these specific Canaanites, right? These people of Gibeon. Saul, of course, he didn't care about those vows. He tried to kill him anyway. So now there's famine because that has not been rectified. All right. Verse 3. Wherefore David said unto the Gibeonites, what shall I do for you? And wherewith shall I make the atonement, that ye may bless the inheritance of the Lord? And the Gibeonites said unto him, we will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house. Neither for us shalt thou kill any man in Israel. And he said, what ye shall say, that will I do for you. Right? David's like, how can we atone for this? How can we make this right? Verse 5. And they answered the king, the man that consumed us and that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coasts of Israel, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them. All right, so you kind of can see how these Gibeonites were. They weren't like all the way righteous, but we as a people, the Israelites, still made a vow to these Gibeonites that, we wouldn't harm them, that we would defend them, right? And they could live peaceably in the land. All right. But, it's not like they're all the way right. All right. They said that they wouldn't kill no man, but then they said, well, let's get 7 of Saul's sons and we'll kill them. Anyway, David said he'd give them. Verse 7. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul, right? David and Jonathan made an oath. So David's like, I'm not going to break my oath that I made to keep that oath that was made during the days of Joshua, right? Verse 8. But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Ajah, whom she bare unto Saul, Ormoni and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Maholathite. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites. And they hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of wheat harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. Right? So these other 7 children, it's children, not children, but like children of Saul, descendants of Saul. That's who they had killed. Maholathite, I believe Abel Mahola is up here. And apparently it's not on this map, but I was fairly certain Abel Mahola was somewhere in here. Anyway, I don't see it, unfortunately. All right, let's get back. Verse 10. And Rizpah, the daughter of Ajah, took sackcloth and spread it for her upon the rock from the beginning of harvest until water dropped upon them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. All right, so she put out this symbolic gesture for these people who were killed. And it was told David what Rizpah, the daughter of Ajah, the concubine of Saul, had done. And David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh Gilead, which had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hanged them, and when the Philistines had slain Saul and Gilboa. Right, so this whole time, the men of Jabesh Gilead had the bones of Saul and Jonathan and all his men, because they didn't want them in the hands of the Philistines. They wanted to honor the king of Israel and his family. Verse 13. And he brought up from thence the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son, and they gathered the bones of them that were hanged, and the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son buried they in the country of Benjamin and Zelah, in the sepulchre of Kish his father. And they performed all that the king commanded. And after that, God was entreated for the land. All right, so this reconciliation was made, and the drought, the famine was ended. Verse 15. Moreover, the Philistines had yet war again with Israel, and David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines. And David waxed faint, And Ishbibenob, which was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels in brass weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David, right? So this is Goliath's family coming back for David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, secured him and smote the Philistine and killed him, right? So they didn't even make it to David. Abishai, one of the sons of Zeruiah, killed him. Then the men of David swore unto him, saying, Thou shalt go no more out with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. So David at this point, even in his latter days, even in his old years, he would still go out to battle sometimes. All right? So they had to tell him at this point, hey, there's specific people coming after you. Don't come out to battle no more. They're coming after you. All right? If one of us die, that's one thing. But if you die, then, all of Israel is going to mourn. All of Israel is going to be without a king, right? Verse 18. And it came to pass after this that there was again a battle with Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbecai the Hushathite slew Saph, which was of the sons of the giant. And there was again a battle in Gob with the Philistines, where Elhanan, the son of Jariagim, a Bethlehemite, slew the brother of Goliath the Gittite, the staff of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. Yeah, I apologize for that pronunciation of that name. It's just a strange one. Jariagim. Okay, whatever. Anyway, the point is, the mighty men of David are killing these Philistines who are related to Goliath. All right. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature that had on his every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number. So this man's got 24 digits. This is one of them giants that had more fingers and toes. And he also was born to the giant. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan the son of Shimeah, the brother of David, slew him. All right, so that was David's nephew. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. All right. So made quick work out of the family of Goliath. Goliath was the most mighty warrior in that family. So like all the rest of his family didn't mean much compared to Goliath. And Goliath was taken out easy by the hand of David, but of course by the Lord. All right. And of course it mentioned Gath. And where notice valley, where the Philistines and the Israelites, primarily Judah, always fought, was right here in this valley. And as you can see, Gath right here. All right, let's go back. That was the end of that chapter. And in 2 Samuel 22, we're not going to get into this. It's the same as Psalms 18, because this is Bible history, so we're not getting into the prophecy. But of course, it's a wonderful chapter. Like I said, it's the same as Psalms 18, basically the same. Very wonderful psalm. Check it out on your own time. But again, this is history, so we're skipping it for now. Yeah, and that's this whole chapter. Yep. And then, of course, David's last song, as it says up here, is similar to Psalms 108. Probably the exact same song. But again, we're skipping over that because this is Bible history. We're not getting into the prophecy, the wonderful Psalms. Again, read that on your own time. Psalms are wonderful, but not for tonight. All right, we're going to get into these mighty men just a little bit. A lot of this is just names, but some of it is, history as well. Verse 8 in 2 Samuel 23. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adino the Eznite. He lifted up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. All right? So is a bad man. And that's what you're going to see about these David's mighty men. David's mighty men are unparalleled. All right? Maybe can only be compared to the Hasmonean family, in the time period of the Greeks, the Maccabees, some call them. Mighty warriors. Verse 9. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite, one of 3 mighty men with David. when they defied the Philistines that were gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. All right, so they put Eleazar right up there with David and two other men. All right, those four couldn't touch him. Verse 10. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. I don't know if you've ever held something for so long, or like worked with something for so long that it's hard to take your hand off of it. Your hand just feels empty after you drop it. That was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, with his sword. That's how it felt, like it was fixed to his hand. All right, verse 11. And after him was Shammah, the son of Agi, the Hararite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it and slew the Philistines, and the Lord wrought a great victory. So Shammah was the type of person where it didn't matter if everybody else fled. He said, I'm going to take on this whole squadron by myself. And he did. Verse 13. And 3 of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam. And the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in a hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, Oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And the 3 mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Lord. And he said, Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men. All right, so this is, what did it say? Adino, Eleazar, and Shammah were in the same conversation as David when it comes to their mighty works. All right. Verse 18. And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among 3. And he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among the 3. Right. So even those 3 recognized Abishai. All right. He's a bad man. You don't want to mess with him. Was he not most honorable of 3? Therefore he was their captain. Howbeit he attained not unto the first 3. Right. So even Abishai's works were not comparable to those first 3. Verse 20. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. All right, so men of Moab is like Jet Li and Jackie Chan. He's fighting off both of them, right? Or like Bruce Lee and I don't know many of them, but the point is Bruce Lee and Ip Man. He's fighting against both of them at the same time. All right. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. Right. So you got to think about that, man. First of all, in a pit, right? Like in a ditch, right? The ground's already unstable, but it's also a time of snow. So like you step on the wrong piece of ground in a time of snow, and you fell on your back, right? But he killed a lion in the pit in the snow, right? Just crazy, insane. But yeah, I don't think we'll see Kabzeel on here, but you see Bethlehem. That's where that story of going to get the water from the well. Yeah, I don't see Kabzeel. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these cities are like smaller cities and not going to show up on the map. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not seeing Kabzeel. Oh yeah, here it is, down in Simeon. There it goes, right there. Let's get back. All right. Verse 21. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man, and the Egyptians had a spear in his hand, but he went down to him with a staff and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear. You see that right there? So taking somebody's weapon and killing them with it, with their own weapon. That's the type of man that Benaiah was. Bad man. You don't want to mess with him. These things did Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and had the name among 3 mighty men. Right. So So those first three that we mentioned, Adino, Eleazar, and Shammah, even they knew Abishai and Benaiah. Man, they cold-blooded. All right. Verse 23. He was more honorable than the 30, but he attained not to the first three. And David set him over his guard, right? Set him over the mercenaries, the Chelethites and the Pelethites, I believe. I believe that's what they were called. So those Philistine mercenaries, they needed a Israelite to rule over them, and that they had to answer to, right? Because you ain't gonna fight for the Israelite army and not have to answer to some Israelite, all right? That was Benaiah was over those mercenaries. Verse 24. Asahel, the brother of Joab, was one of the 30. Elhanan, the son of Dodo of Bethlehem, Shammah, the Harodite, Elika, the Harodite, Helez, the Paltite, Ira, the son of Ikesh, the Tekoite. So, like, some of these are cities. Like, most of these, the ites are like cities. All right, from like I said, of Bethlehem. When it says Ira, the Tekoite, that's from Tekoa, which is right here south of Bethlehem. So, like, all these are different cities that these mighty men are from. Abiezer, the Anathothite, Mebunai, the Hushathite, Zalman, the Ahoite. That's from Ahio. I don't think Ahio is going to be on here. Let's see. Is Ahio on here? For some reason, I was thinking it's over here in Gad and or Reuben. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. I see Ahio on here anywhere. I know it's mentioned in the scriptures. No, I'm not seeing Ahio. I could be looking over it, but I'm not seeing it. I want to say it's somewhere in Gad, though. Gad or Reuben. Let's go back. Maharai, the Netophathite, Hillel, the son of Baanah, a Netophathite, Ittai, the son of Ribai, out of Gibeah, out of the children of Benjamin. Gibeah, the same city that Saul comes from in Benjamin. All right. Verse 30. Benaiah, the Parathonite, Hiddai of the brooks of Gash, Abialban, the Arbathite, Asmaveth, the Bahamite, Eliabah, the Shabanite, of the sons of Joshin, Jonathan, Shammah, the Hararite, Ahiam, the son of Sharar, the Hararite, Eliphalet, the son of Ahasbai, the son of the Ma'akathite, Eliam, son of Ahithophel, the Gilonite, Hezrai, the Carmelite, Pa'arah, the Arbite. Carmel is up here. There's Mount Carmel. To give you an idea where that's at. I don't know where all these cities are, but some of them ring a bell. All right. Where was I at? Arbite. Egal, the son of Nathan, of Zobah. All right, so Zobah is actually going to be like Syria, that area. Bani, the Gadite, that's pretty clear. He's a Gadite from the tribe of Gad. Zelek, the Ammonite. Naharai, the Berothite. Armor bearer to Joab, the son of Zeruiah. So that was Naharai, the Berothite. I believe Beeroth is somewhere on here. I feel like I see that a lot. Beeroth, no. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not seeing it. Maybe I just hear it a lot. Beeroth. I don't know. It kind of all blends together at some point. But I feel like I've heard Beeroth before, though. About to run. No. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to it. Beerothite, the armor bearer. Naharai was the armor bearer to Joab. Verse 38. Ira and Ithrite, Gareb and Ithrite, Uriah the Hittite, 30 and 7 in all. All right. So 37 mighty men of David. So this is another time where David fell short and sinned against the Lord. Not as I would say, not as bad as the incident with Uriah the Hittite, but it turns into something very, very bad. All right, verse 1. In 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1. And again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. All right. So that's one thing that the Lord told us to never do, try to make a census of the people. Told us to never do that. And here you see David doing exactly that. For the king said to Joab, the captain of the host, which was with him, go now through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, and number ye the people, that I may know the number of the people. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. From Dan to Beersheba is an expression in Israel, in ancient Israel, and it means all of Israel. That's what it means. You see Dan up here in the far north, and you see Beersheba down here in the far south. So when they say from Dan to Beersheba, they mean all throughout Israel. It means all of Israel. All right. Number the people, that I may know the number of the people. Verse 3. And Joab said unto the king, now the Lord thy God add unto the people how many soever they be, 100-fold, and that the eyes of my lord the king may see it. But why doth my lord the king delight in this thing? Right. So Joab's trying to talk some sense into him, saying, why are you trying to do this? What's going on here? God told us not to do this, and obviously the Lord has blessed the people and made them numerous. All right, verse 4. Notwithstanding, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the host. So even other leaders in the army tried to convince David, don't do this. This is not a good thing that you're doing. But of course, he's the king. He gets the final say. And Joab and the captains of the host went out from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel. And they passed over Jordan and pitched in a rower on the right side of the city that lieth in the midst of the river of Gad and toward Jazer. All right. So you see a rower right here. So that's like one of the, that is the easternmost city in the south. Or I should say in the southern border of Reuben. And here you see Jazer right up here. But yeah, they started in a rower, made their way up that way. Let's go back. Then they came to Gilead and to the land of Tatim Hochi. Never heard of that one. And they came to Danjan and about to Zidon. All right. So you can see the route that they're going, because it said they went through Jazer right here, and it said they went up through Gilead. All right, all this is Gilead, and they ended up over here Tyre and Zidon, as you can see right here. So that's the route they went. All right, let's go back. And came to the stronghold of Tyre and to all the cities of the Hivites and of the Canaanites, and they went out to the south of Judah, even to Beersheba, right? And from there, from Tyre and Zidon, they moved south down this way. And then obviously you can see Judah right in here. And we mentioned Beersheba right there. So when they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days, right? So they didn't have like cars back then. They had to get around on horses and by foot. All right, they didn't have smartphones back then where they could easily calculate how many people got smartphones or whatever. It took some time, 9 months and 20 days. And Joab gave up the sum of the number of the people unto the king. And there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men that drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. All right? Total of 1.3 million men of war. Verse 10. And David's heart smote him after he had numbered the people. And David said unto the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done. And now I beseech thee, O Lord, take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly. For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and say unto David, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee. So Gad came to David and told him and said unto him, Shall 7 years of famine come unto thee in thy land? Or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies while I pursue thee? Or that there be 3 days pestilence in thy land? Now advise and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. Right? So God give David 3 options here. If it was anybody else, he wouldn't give them no options. God would just plague the people and punish them severely, judge the king, because that's the righteous thing to do. But the Lord has a special mercy on David. He said, look, I'll give you 3 options. All right? Either famine for 7 years, another incident where your enemies are going to rise up against you, and you're going to have to flee for 3 months, or 3 days of a plague, of a pandemic, right? Verse 14. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man. All right? So, he said, look, I'd rather the Lord plague me than have men do it. Because he wasn't going to say 7 years. 7 years of famine, that's terrible. They just got out of 3 years of famine. All right? So, not going to do that. He said, I'd rather be plagued by the Lord than be plagued by men. All right, so the Lord sent the disease. Verse 15. So the Lord sent a pestilence upon Israel from morning even to the time appointed. And there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men. Rough. Verse 16. And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord repented him of the evil and said to the angel that destroyed the people, It is enough. Stay now thine hand. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing place of Araunah the Jebusite. And David spake unto the Lord when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, Lo, I have sinned and I have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? Let thy hand, I pray thee, be against me and against my father's house. Right? So David prayed to the Lord. He's seen the angel. He's seen the angel of the Lord out there smiting the people with the disease. All right? He's seeing spiritual things that we have no comprehension of. Right? So he's seeing this and he's praying to the Lord saying, look, please have mercy on the people. They didn't do it. I did it. So that's when the Lord stayed the angel. He stopped the angel. All right. Verse 18. And Gad came that day to David and said unto him, Go up, rear an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. And David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as the Lord commanded. And Araunah looked and saw the king and his servants coming on toward him. Excuse me. And Araunah went out and bowed himself before the king on his face upon the ground. And Araunah said, Wherefore is my lord the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor of thee, to build an altar unto the Lord, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Araunah said unto David, Let my lord the king take and offer up what seemeth good unto him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments, and other instruments of the oxen for wood. Right. So Araunah said, Look, just take it. If it's please the king, it's going to help the people, just take it. All right. Here's even some animals to sacrifice on it. All right. Verse 23. All these things did Araunah as a king give unto the king. And Araunah said unto the king, The Lord thy God accept thee. And the king said unto Araunah, Nay, but I will surely buy it of thee at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto the Lord my God of that which doth cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. Right. So he said, Look, at least let me give you something. I'm the king. I can give you whatever you want. All right. Verse 25. And David built there an altar unto the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So the Lord was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Israel. All right. So all praises to the Most High for that. All right. Even the full 3 days didn't even happen. So all praise to the Most High for that. I do want to read the transition from David to Solomon. It's very quick, very brief. All right. It's just 1 Kings chapter 1. And then we'll pick up next week with King Solomon. All right. 1 Kings 1, starting with verse 1. Now King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he gat no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, Let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king. Let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. All right. So they say, bring a young virgin in here, get you blood pumping. All right. but not like that. All right, verse 3. So they sought for a fairer damsel throughout all the coast of Israel and found Abishag, a Shunammite, and brought her unto the king. And the damsel was very fair and cherished the king and ministered unto him, but the king knew her not, right? So they didn't have sex, but she did care for him, basically like a nurse does an old man today. All right, because David's an old man at this point. He can't even really get around and do all the things that he used to be able to. Verse 5. Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. So another one of David's sons stepping up saying, I'm going to be king. Who told him he's going to be king? Nobody. Himself. All right. Verse 6. And his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, why hast thou done so? And he also was a very goodly man. And his mother bare him after Absalom. All right. So nobody stopped him because David, again, is an old man. He's not really moving the way he used to move. Probably stays inside most of the time. Not talking to people. Right. Verse 7. And he conferred with Joab the son of Zeruiah and with Abiathar the priest. And they following Adonijah, helped him. But Zadok the priest and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and Nathan the prophet and Shimei and Ray and the mighty men which belonged to David were not with Adonijah. Right. So again, here you see Joab going off a bit. All right. And Abiathar the priest. They're recognizing Adonijah as the heir to the throne when that's not what was prophesied. All right. Nathan the prophet, he knows the prophecy. And all the mighty men, they know the prophecy. That it's supposed to be Solomon. All right. Verse 9. And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zahaleth, which is by Enrogel, and called all his brethren the king's son, and all the men of Judah the king's servants. But Nathan the prophet and Benaiah the mighty men and Solomon his brother he called not, right? Because even Adonijah knew he was not supposed to be the heir to the throne. He knew that it was going to be Solomon. Verse 11. Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Hast thou not heard that Adonijah the son of Haggith doth reign, and David our Lord knoweth it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray thee, give thee counsel that thou mayest save thine own life and the life of thy son Solomon. Right? Because as soon as Adonijah gets into power, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to kill any other claims to the throne. All right? So Nathan is saying, look, if you want to save yourself and make your son king, then listen to me. All right? Go and get thee in unto King David and say unto him, didst not thou, my lord, O king, swear unto thy handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne? Why then doth Adonijah reign? Behold, while thou yet talkest there with the king, I also will come in after thee and confirm thy words. Right? So again, David's an old man. Nathan's telling Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, look, go in there and remind the king that he's supposed to pass the torch, so to speak, pass the crown to Solomon. All right? And while you're in there talking, I will come in behind you and I will remind him of the prophecy. All right? Verse 15. And Bathsheba went in unto the king into the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishag the Shunammite ministered unto the king. And Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance unto the king. And the king said, What wouldest thou? Right? What do you want? Ornery old man. What do you want? Verse 17. And she said unto him, My lord, thou swearest by the Lord thy God unto thy handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And now, behold, Adonijah reigneth. And now, my lord the king, thou knowest it not. And he that slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance hath called all the sons of the king, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab the captain of the host, but Solomon thy servant he hath not called. Right? So Nathan told her to say 2 lines. Here she's going on paragraphs and stanzas. All right? Verse 20. And thou, my lord, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldest tell them who shall sit on the throne of my lord the king after him. Otherwise it shall come to pass, when my lord the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders. Verse 22. And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in. And they told the king, saying, Behold, Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, My lord, O king, Hast thou said Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne? Right. So even Nathan come in. Once Nathan come in, he's like, David, when did you say Adonijah was going to be king? Right. You never said that. Why is he king? Verse 25, for he is gone down this day, and hath slain oxen and fat cattle, and sheep in abundance, and hath called all the king's sons, and the captains of the host, and Abiathar the priest. And behold, they eat and drink before him, and say, God save King Adonijah. But me, even thy servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and thy servant Solomon, hath he not called. Nathan's like, ain't this funny? Like, when'd you say Adonijah's going to be king? He's not calling us, right? Verse 27, is this thing done by my lord the king, and thou hast not showed it unto thy servant, who should sit on the throne of my lord the king after him? Nathan's like, did you decree this? Why is this going on without the king's approval, right? As if he don't know what's going on. He's like, why didn't he invite all of us if you made him king, right? Verse 28, then King David answered and said, call me Bathsheba. And she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king sware and said, as the Lord liveth, that hath redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto thee by the Lord God of Israel, saying, assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so will I certainly do this day. He said, I'm going to make this right. Verse 31. Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king, and said, let my lord King David live forever. Verse 32. And King David said, call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada. And they came before the king. The king also said unto them, take with you the servants of your lord, and call Solomon my son to ride upon mine own mule, and bring him down to Gihon. Gihon is all the way down towards the Nile. Verse 34. And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him their king over Israel, and blow you with the trumpet, and say, God save King Solomon. Right, so now he said, well, let's make this official, and let everybody in Israel know that Solomon is the king. Verse 35, then he shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead, and I have appointed him to be ruler over over Israel and over Judah, right? So that'd be all 12 tribes. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada answered the king and said, amen. The Lord God of my lord the king say so too. As the Lord had been with my lord the king, even so be he with Solomon, and make his throne greater than the throne of my lord King David. Verse 38. So Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites went down, and caused Solomon to ride upon King David's mule, and brought him to Gihon. Right, so they're doing this whole display, the riding of the king's mule, showing that all that is the king, all that is King David's, will now be King Solomon's. All right. Verse 39. And Zadok the priest took a horn of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Solomon. And they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, God save King Solomon. And all the people came up after him, and the people piped with pipes and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth rent with the sound of them. Right, so it was like there was an earthquake going on. There was so much music being played, so much loud music. It was a parade. It was a party. Everybody was getting down and having a great time. Right, wonderful. Verse 41. And Adonijah and all the guests that were with him heard it, as they had made an end of eating. And when Joab heard the sound of the trumpet, he said, wherefore is this noise of the city being in an uproar? And while he yet spake, behold, Jonathan, the son of Abiathar, the priest, came. And Adonijah said unto him, come in, for thou art a valiant man, and bring us good tidings. And Jonathan answered and said to Adonijah, verily our Lord King David hath made Solomon king. Right? Interrupt that. That's like a like a record scratch moment. Like they're in there having their little party, and then here comes Jonathan to come and spoil it. Right? I'm saying, look, Adonijah, you're not the king. Solomon's the king. Verse 44. And the king has sent with him Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and they have caused him to ride upon the king's mule. Verse 45. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king in Gihon, and they are come up from thence rejoicing, so that the city rang again. This is the noise that ye have heard. And also Solomon sitteth on the throne of the kingdom. Verse 47. And moreover, the king's servants came to bless our Lord King David, saying, God make the name of Solomon better than thy name. Make his throne greater than thy throne. And the king bowed himself upon the bed. Verse 48. And also, thus said the king, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which hath given one to sit on my throne this day. Mine eyes even seeing it. All right, so at least he still had his vision. Verse 49. And all the guests that were with Adonijah were afraid, and rose up, and went every man his way. Right, just spoiled that little get together they had going on. And Adonijah feared because of Solomon, and arose and went and caught hold on the horns of the altar. And it was told Solomon, saying, Behold, Adonijah feareth King Solomon, for lo, he hath caught hold on the horns of the altar, saying, Let King Solomon swear unto me today that he will not slay his servant with the sword. And Solomon said, If he will show himself a worthy man, there shall not a hair of him fall to the earth. But if wickedness shall be found in him, he shall die. All right. So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar, and he came and bowed himself to King Solomon, and Solomon said unto him, Go to thine house. All right, so he ran to the altar because you can't spill unclean blood on the altar, right? And man's blood would be unclean, right? Human sacrifice would be unclean. So he said, you can't. He went and grabbed the altar because he didn't want to die. He didn't want Solomon to kill him. Solomon's like, look, I'm not trying to kill you. If you're a righteous man, you're not going to die.